Welcome to r/best of Redditor updates, where this woman sadly wants to cancel her wedding because of her husband's complete and utter disrespect to her culture. I want to call off my wedding because my husband is embarrassed about my culture. Hi, I really need some advice. I'm 26 years old and I'm getting married to my husband who is 28. I'm from a small village and I moved to the US 5 years ago. That's important because in such a short amount of time, I'm not assimilated to the US culture and I'm still very involved in mine. When I met my husband, a few weeks into us dating, he told me he was going to marry me, as a joke. But I told him how marriage works in my culture and he praised how beautiful it was. Fast forward to now. We agreed on doing 2 weddings, one in my culture and the other an American wedding. In my village, when you get married, both spouses get a gold bangle sort of thing, equivalent to a wedding ring. There's a ceremony and party for that as well. It's molded onto your wrist and it can't come off unless you use like a saw or something like that. During my traditional wedding, I received a gift of these fruits that I ate back home that are truly my favorite, but I haven't been able to find them in the US. My husband joked that he was not looking forward to smelling them every day, which is fine because I hate the smell of sausages, but it's something he loves. I stayed back home for a week because I'd missed it, and my husband came home early to prepare for the American wedding. I came home on the Monday, but didn't see my husband since he had work, and by the time he finished, I was sleeping. We had dinner last night, and I saw that he didn't have his bangle on. He told me he thought it was just for the party. I explained to him again how important it is to me, and he said that I couldn't seriously expect him to wear it all the time. I asked him why not, and he told me it made him look unprofessional. I got upset with him and left. He ended up calling me to explain how it holds no cultural significance to him, so I rebutted, asking him if he was fine with me not wearing a wedding ring as it holds no cultural significance to me. He got a bit upset and gave me a lecture on how if we were in my country, he'd wear it. I feel so turned off and uninterested in this relationship that I am now thinking of calling off the wedding. Now just a quick edit as well before we get into some relevant comments. Opie has said that he did know he'd have to wear it permanently. We talked about this in the early stages of us dating and several times leading up to now when I've had family members get married and when he proposed. Also, he works from home with occasional in-person meetings. Oh wow, so even if you were saying it's unprofessional because you don't want to wear it in front of clients or something, which is completely ridiculous anyway, you're at home most of the time. You could just not put it on Zoom. Unbelievable. Right, so here are some comments from people on the original post. Someone said, "How did your husband remove his bangle?" Opie replied, "He went to a shop and they cut it off." Someone else asked, "Is there any compromise here? Like a smaller or thinner golden bracelet that can be more easily hidden under a shirt sleeve instead of a bangle? Or him wearing an American wedding ring only while you only wear the bangle? I feel like in most cross-cultural relationships, you have to bend and find ways to compromise." Opie said, "I don't mind compromising, but when we had the discussion of what the marriage process would be like, he was fully on board. They take mine, the bangle I already have that was given to me by my parents. The gold then gets reused to make for the one that my husband gives me. Had I known he wasn't okay with it, I would have just preferred to keep the one I already had. But he reassured me he was okay with it and was excited throughout the whole process." And then one final comment. "We don't have context on your whole relationship, so I'm not going to jump in and give a strong opinion one way or another, but I'm less concerned about the bangle itself and more concerned that he pretended to be into the idea and then changed his tune once it was too late." Yes, that is the entire point. I completely agree. You don't seem to believe this was a misunderstanding. If it had been, then it might be worth finding a compromise. But pretending to be on board with a thing, then pretending not to have understood that it was important to you and downplaying it while insisting he gets his way, that reeks of some really unhealthy conflict resolution dynamics. Look back over your relationship and see if you can spot a pattern of this behavior. The gaslighting, the "I didn't think it was a big deal," and especially any "well, really, my hurtful behavior is your fault or problem." Those are serious red flags, and if there are more instances of them, then I think it's worth following your instincts. OP replies, "I wish I could pin this comment because this is literally it. Throughout all of the years we've been together, he knew about this, and he was always so happy about it and complimented many things about my culture. He was excited before the ceremony and even after. When they left, he kept sending me pictures of it. Like I was fully convinced he was happy. Had he even talked to me about removing it, I would feel a bit different. But he went and did it himself and didn't even think to mention it when he saw me, and I had to notice it for myself. Above all, he told me how I couldn't have seriously thought he'd wear it. Like, what? And there we go. That is it for the original post. But then, just 11 days later, we got this update. So, I ended up texting him that morning that I was ready to talk, and he came to my hotel a few minutes later. I explained to him how I felt about him cutting off his bangle without talking to me, and especially after he told me he would wear it. Now, just to explain this a little bit further, in my culture, parents cut off pieces of theirs to mold together for their children. This bangle then gets reshaped for my husband, so it's generations and generations that got passed down to mine that is now destroyed. I explained that if I knew he didn't plan on wearing it, we could have just bought him a new gold one instead of using mine, so I could keep mine intact and be able to give it to my children, or we could have made one that can come off and such. And if he told me that there was no way he'd ever wear it on any occasion, then we could have gone our separate ways. He apologized and explained that he didn't think he'd have to wear it every day. I reminded him that he'd known this for years, and I also reminded him the countless times that I've reassured him it was fine if he didn't want to, yet he told me he would. I'd like to note here that he got to design his, and we made it really thin and small where he could wear his watches and it wouldn't show. I asked him to show me the bangle, so we ended up going to his house. I don't know if the person he went to was bad at his job or what, but they literally melted it. It was cut in several different pieces, so my original design is completely ruined. It probably doesn't make sense to you guys, but that is really upsetting to me. No, it makes complete sense. That is just awful to hear. I did entertain the idea of maybe he was teased or something, but he assured me it wasn't that, and he just didn't think it was that serious. I explained that he was basically divorcing me, and he said that I don't have to wear mine either. He got angry with me and kept insisting that I was making a big deal out of nothing. I explained how, bangle aside, he lied to me about something for 4 years and then undermined me right after we got married. He failed to communicate to me something so important and doesn't see how hurtful that is to me. That, in my opinion, guys, is the whole point. He ended up going on a tangent about how unprofessional it looks when I reminded him that he's been in the same job this whole time and it's something he never brought up. Also, not to mention he works from home and only has bi-annual in-person meetings where obviously it's formal, so it wouldn't be seen in the first place. There was a lot of back and forth. Wow, bi-annual in-person meetings. I thought it would be like once a week or something, not twice a year. He got angry with me and kept insisting I was making a big deal out of nothing. I ended up taking an Uber home, and the same day, I went and got mine removed. I returned it to him, since he bought it along with his ring, and I took my bangle with me. I called my parents to see if they can make me another one. It's not the same because I've had mine my whole life. My dad called my husband and wanted an explanation for what he'd done. I guess the conversation didn't go well because my father immediately started mourning my marriage with my mother and agreed to send me a new one. I told him that we'd have to pause on the American wedding, which after trying to change my mind, he did give into, because I wanted to talk more about what other things he doesn't think are serious. I left to come back to my house. I live in a different state, only 4 to 5 hours away driving. He was supposed to take me, but he wouldn't respond to my texts all of the night before, and since I needed to be home for work, I called his friend, who couldn't get in contact with him either, so he ended up buying me a ticket home and drove me to the airport the next day. He drove over to my house 2 nights ago, and he kept apologizing for everything. He told me that he would rewear it and will get it fixed, but honestly, all of the designs are ruined, and if he wore it now, it wouldn't really change the fact that I know how he truly feels about it, so I can't even enjoy it anymore. I had a list of things that we talked about in the past and agreed to, and I just wanted to revisit them. I asked for full honesty, and we did end up taking some things off that he agreed to in the past and admitted to not fully agreeing to, which just didn't make me feel better like I hoped it would, because now I'm rethinking our whole relationship as if everything else might have been a lie. He's insisted that he's not going back home until we fix this, but I'm not optimistic. I feel like I've said everything I needed to say, and now I've got nothing else to say. He's staying at a hotel nearby and has been coming down every day trying to talk, but he's not really saying anything new and he just keeps repeating the same thing. My dad posted pictures of me with my old bangle, implying that I was single. He's been sending me numbers of men that he wants me to talk to. I have removed pictures of my traditional wedding from all of my social media. I don't expect people to understand, since many of you have been stuck on just the bracelet alone, but I did receive some good feedback, and writing this makes me feel a bit better, since there isn't really anyone I can talk about this to. Also, in the same way that if he had a problem and waited this long and then tried to secretly remove it without talking to me, imagine he had a big problem with me in the future and then lied to me that everything is fine, only to randomly get divorced, even though I didn't know there was an issue to begin with up until then. Okay, that is the end of the post. Let's finish things off with a couple of comments. Someone asked, so do you guys not live together? OP says no. I wanted to wait until we were fully married to do any marriage things, you know? We live in states a few hours away from each other and we visit each other a lot. We did plan on moving in together after the American wedding as we already got a house. And then one final comment. You mentioned that he lived 4 to 5 hours from you, but also worked from home and only had to go to in-person work meetings biannually. Was it an option for him to move to your state? OP replies, I used to live in his state. I moved to my current state for work. I planned on moving to his state after we're married. Our house was being built there, so it made sense for him to stay and handle that. And plus, I don't want to live together until marriage, so it didn't make sense for him to move here and have to find himself another place. So, there we go. That is the end of that one. Wow. I mean, yeah, the whole point, I think, as I was saying and agreeing with OP and some of the comments going along, is that if your husband can lie about something like this and say, oh, what? I didn't know this. I didn't think I'd have to wear the bangle. Come on, you can't really have expected me to wear this bangle for the rest of my life, even though we've talked about it for the previous 4 years and I've openly admitted, or maybe really lied about really appreciating your culture and saying, yeah, I can't wait to do this. Oh, I can't wait to have a wedding, you know, for me, and then a wedding for you in my culture and then your culture. What else may happen in the future? What else could he lie about? That is, I think, the main takeaway here. How can you trust somebody, the man that you're going to marry, the man that you have married, by the way, well, you've had half of the marriages, who is just blatantly lied to your face for the previous 4 years and then has actually said, you know what, no, I don't want to do this. Again, I completely agree with your final point here. It's not just about the bracelet. It's about other things that could come up in the future. How do you know if he even likes you at this point? Like, you're going to have so many questions going through your head. I don't know how you ever trust him again, and I don't know how you move forward. Do you agree with me, guys? Get in the comments down below. But that is my overarching conclusion. I mean, the main thing that sticks out is saying, he told me it looks unprofessional, but then he goes into work twice a year. I mean, that's just clear BS. That argument, that whole kind of sentence makes zero sense. If he's coming up with absolute trash and just rubbish like that to try and kind of make an excuse as to why he doesn't want to wear it, then once again, what other stupid excuses is he going to make up for other things that he doesn't want to do? Like, oh, I cheated on you, but my excuse was, I was actually really hungry at the time and a woman offered to make me some food and then I ended up accidentally having sex with her. You know, that's the level here. Really, that is a level. Because if you think that a bangle looks unprofessional on a Zoom call where you never put your hands in a screen, I mean, imagine I did this in a video. Oh, tell you what, that watch is a bit unprofessional. Can't be wearing that anymore. Then you're just an idiot. I'm sorry, you just are. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this one. Really hope you enjoyed it. Once again, as always, please do get your comments in because those are just my thoughts. I want to hear your guys' thoughts especially. Go down into the comments, or if you're on YouTube, if you're on Spotify, whatever you're on, the comments are on multiple platforms these days, and have a look at what other people are saying. Get involved, drop a like on the video entirely, but also drop a like on some of your favorite comments and reply to them. Let's get a discussion going down below. I want to hear what you guys have to say.